When I was 13, my father, desperate to appease his newly pregnant wife, sent me away without a second thought. Years later, after she shattered his life, he came crawling back, but my response left him speechless. This all started in 2020, during the height of the pandemic lockdowns. I was living in Houston, and my stepmother, Sarah, had always felt like a true parent to me. She'd been part of my life for years, and our bond seemed strong. I trusted her completely, viewing her as a maternal figure. When she announced her pregnancy, I was thrilled, eager to welcome a new sibling. My biological mother, Emily, a surgeon, was consumed by her demanding job during the pandemic. Her schedule left no room for me, so I stayed with my father, James, and Sarah during the lockdown. It was meant to be temporary, but it stretched on indefinitely. At first, things felt normal. We passed the time together, watching films and navigating the strange new reality of isolation. I imagined myself as part of their growing family, helping with the baby and embracing my role as a big sister. But as Sarah's pregnancy progressed, her demeanor shifted. Around 4 months in, she became irritable, snapping at me over trivial matters. I chalked it up to hormonal changes, but the tension only worsened. Suddenly, everything I did seemed to annoy her. I was always neat, followed the rules, and handled my chores diligently, yet nothing pleased her. She'd enter a room, see me, and let out a frustrated sigh, as if my mere existence bothered her. I started retreating to my room, trying to stay out of her way. Even that wasn't enough. One day, she stormed into my room, complaining it smelled bad when all I had was an open bag of pretzels. Before I could explain, she broke down crying. My father rushed to her side, comforting her, while I stood there, bewildered. They blamed her emotions on pregnancy, but it felt like something more. She seemed to resent me. The atmosphere grew heavier. I'd be quietly studying, and she'd accuse me of shirking responsibilities, even when I'd already completed them. Or she'd scold me for leaving a spoon in the sink while I was still washing dishes. The worst part? My father never stood up for me. He'd soothe Sarah, urging me to be more patient, but he never asked how I was coping. I felt like a stranger in my own home, constantly on edge. My mental health deteriorated. I noticed my hair thinning from stress. I tried harder, cleaning obsessively, staying out of sight, but nothing worked. Sarah always found something to criticize. The house became a suffocating place, and I feared stepping out of my room. I longed to return to my mother, but her work made that impossible. One morning, while eating toast in the kitchen, Sarah stormed in. The counters were spotless, yet she began scrubbing furiously, muttering about clutter. Then, she threw my half-eaten toast into the trash. I lost it, shouting, "What's your problem with me?" She burst into tears, and my father, as always, sided with her without hearing my side. Then Sarah said the words that broke me. "I don't want her around my baby. She needs to go." My father pulled me aside and said, "You're clearly upsetting her. If you can't fix this, you'll have to leave." His words crushed me. I packed a small bag, posted a plea for help online, and slipped out through my window. I stayed with a friend until my Aunt Clara came for me. My father flooded my phone with calls and texts, but I ignored them. His messages were full of justifications, blaming Sarah's stress. Sarah's message was even worse, painting me as the problem. My grandparents were livid. They cut off contact with my father, refusing to speak to him until he made things right with me. But he never offered a real apology, just vague posts online, fishing for pity. Years later, he reached out again, not to make amends, but because Sarah had turned on him. She'd accused him of mistreatment, and he was desperate for support. My grandparents had disowned him, insisting he reconcile with me first. But I saw through him. He only wanted their approval back. I responded with a single word. No, he tried to guilt me, but I held firm. He'd chosen Sarah over me, and now he was facing the fallout. I owed him nothing. For weeks, his messages persisted through new numbers, social media, even emails. He alternated between pleading, "You're my only chance," and lashing out, "After everything I've done for you." But I stayed resolute, blocking him each time. Life with Aunt Clara became a sanctuary. She enrolled me in a new school, and I finally felt like a normal teenager. No more tiptoeing around, no sudden outbursts, just calm. My grandparents visited often, bringing comfort food and quietly supporting my college fund. Their love mended wounds I hadn't realized I carried. One stormy afternoon, a knock came at Clara's door. I opened it to find my father, soaked and weary, a shadow of the man I once knew. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice hoarse. Clara stood beside me, firm. "She doesn't owe you anything, James." "I know," he said, voice cracking. "But I owe her the truth." Reluctantly, I let him in. What followed was a revelation I hadn't anticipated. He confessed that Sarah had a history of manipulation. She'd done the same to her previous husband, cutting him off from his family, accusing him of abuse, and leaving him with nothing. She targeted my father next, and I was just a casualty. I was foolish, he admitted, tears falling. I thought she cared for me, but she wanted control. When I finally challenged her, she ruined me, just like she did to you. I stayed quiet, absorbing his words. Part of me wanted to shout, "I warned you." But another part pitted the broken man before me. My grandparents had set one condition for his return to the family: regain my trust. But trust isn't restored with apologies alone, it requires effort. So I laid out my terms. 1. Therapy for both of us, individually at first, maybe together later. 2. No contact with Sarah ever. 3. Time. I wouldn't call him dad again until I was ready. He agreed without hesitation. Rebuilding wasn't simple. There were stumbles, moments I withdrew, times he reverted to old defenses. But he began to listen. He enrolled in parenting courses, studied emotional manipulation, and joined a group for spouses who'd been controlled. I focused on healing through therapy, school, and bonding with my half-brother, Liam. Sarah had kept Liam from me, but with my father's help, I met the bright, curious 4-year-old who shared our features. Just as we were finding our footing, Sarah reappeared, filing for full custody of Liam, claiming my father was unfit. But this time, he fought back with proof, recordings of her admitting to fabricating abuse claims. The court rejected her case, granting him full custody. Sarah disappeared, leaving behind debts and fractured lives. 5 years have passed since I left that house. My relationship with my father isn't what it once was, some scars linger. But we're working on it. He walks me to my college classes sometimes, and we have weekly dinners at Clara's. Liam calls me Sissy and loves when I help with his math. As for Sarah, word is she's repeating her pattern with someone new. But consequences have a way of catching up, just as they did for my father. 5 years later, sunlight poured into my small apartment as I adjusted my graduation cap. Today, I'd earned my psychology degree, a goal born from unraveling my own pain. Aunt Clara smoothed my gown, her eyes misty. "My strong girl," she murmured. A knock came, and I opened the door to find my father with a bouquet of daisies, my favorite. Liam, now 9, grinned beside him. "Ready, grad?" my father asked, his tone gentle. I nodded, my throat tight. Once, I couldn't imagine him at my milestones. Yet here he was. As I crossed the stage, I saw my family in the crowd, Clara cheering loudly, my grandparents wiping tears, and my father gripping Liam's shoulder, pride in his eyes. At the reception, Liam tugged my sleeve. "Are you going to be a brain doctor?" he asked. "Something like that," I chuckled. "I want to help kids who've had a hard time." My father's face softened. "You'll be amazing." That night, I found a note on my pillow. In his handwriting, it read, "I thought I failed as a father. But seeing you today, resilient, compassionate, unstoppable, I realized you became this way despite me. That's a gift I don't deserve. Love, Dad, if you'll let me claim that name." The next day, I visited the park where Sarah used to take Liam. She was there alone on a bench, looking worn. Her hair was sparse, her shoulders slumped. She glanced up as I approached. "I'm not here for a fight," I said softly. "I just needed to tell you something." Her eyes narrowed. "What?" "I forgive you." Her breath caught. "Not for you, for me. Because holding on to anger is draining." I turned to leave, but her voice stopped me. "Is Liam okay?" Without turning, I replied, "He's loved. That's what counts." Now, as I sit in my office, my nameplate reading Doctor, two photos grace my desk. One of Liam's first school day, smiling in an oversized backpack, and another of 13-year-old me, a reminder of the girl who endured. Family isn't about flawlessness. It's about those who stand by you, fight for you, and stay when others leave. The best endings aren't about tying up loose ends. They're about new beginnings.